There's a powerful truth no one tells you. People treat you exactly how you train them to. If they constantly cross the line, ignore your words, or test your patience, it's not just about them. It's a sign that something about your presence, your energy, or your behavior is giving them permission. But today, that changes. You don't need to fight, argue, or explain yourself over and over again. Do this, and you'll never be disrespected again. When you walk into a room, before you speak a word, people already begin to form judgments about you. That judgment often isn't based on your clothes, your money, or your background. It's based on your energy, and nothing projects stronger energy than silent confidence. This kind of confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to. It simply exists, firm, grounded, and unapologetic. It's the energy of someone who knows who they are, knows what they stand for, and doesn't seek validation from the outside world. Silent confidence is not about arrogance. It's not about being loud or dominating others. It's the opposite. It's about knowing your value so deeply that you don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. When you carry that kind of confidence, people sense it. They know not to play with your time, your peace, or your boundaries. They respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you commanded it without a word. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying too hard to get others to like or approve of them. They talk too much. They try to be funny, agreeable, or overly friendly, thinking that if they are nice enough, people will treat them well. But the reality is, the more you try to win people over, the more they sense that you don't feel worthy on your own. And once they sense that weakness, some will test you. Some will talk over you, ignore your input, or dismiss your opinions. Not because you're not worthy, but because your energy gave them the green light to do so. Think about someone you've seen who carries themselves with effortless strength. Maybe they didn't say much, but when they walked in, the room shifted. People paid attention. Why? Because their silence wasn't empty, it was rooted. They didn't have to explain themselves. They didn't have to argue or chase respect. Their confidence was quiet but undeniable. That's the kind of presence you need to build. To cultivate this, start by working on your internal world. Build a strong relationship with yourself. When you're truly secure inside, when you know your worth, your body language changes. You stop fidgeting. You stop over-talking. Your eye contact becomes steady. Your posture becomes relaxed but upright. You don't interrupt or seek attention, but you don't hide either. And this balance is powerful. The truth is, respect isn't earned by yelling louder or acting tougher. It's earned by becoming someone who doesn't need to fight for it. Someone who, without saying a word, makes it clear they won't tolerate being disrespected. That's silent confidence. And once you truly embody it, people will feel it. They'll adjust how they speak to you. They'll listen when you talk. And most importantly, they'll know, not because you told them, but because your presence made it clear. You're not the one to be disrespected. The moment you meet someone, whether it's a friend, a colleague, a partner, or even a stranger, you are teaching them how to treat you. And the fastest, most effective way to earn lasting respect is by setting boundaries immediately, not after they've crossed the line 10 times, not when you're already exhausted and resentful, but right from the start, when that first small test appears. Because here's the truth. If you don't enforce your boundaries early, you're silently telling people that it's okay to push you. Boundaries are not about being rude or cold. They're about being clear. They say, this is what I accept and this is what I won't tolerate. And the people who respect themselves make that known from the very beginning. You don't have to yell. You don't have to explain yourself over and over again. You just have to be consistent, firm, and unapologetic. Most people who struggle with being disrespected wait too long to speak up. They tolerate the small things, the sarcastic comments, the subtle dismissals, the jokes that aren't funny. They tell themselves, it's not a big deal, or maybe I'm being too sensitive. But over time, those little cuts add up, and suddenly you're surrounded by people who think it's normal to treat you like you don't matter. Why? Because you trained them that way. The stronger path is to stop the behavior the first time it shows up. If someone speaks to you with sarcasm, you look them in the eye and say calmly, I don't respond well to that kind of tone. If a friend constantly cancels plans last minute, you let them know my time matters. If this keeps happening, I'll stop making space in my schedule. If someone interrupts you every time you speak, you pause, hold your space, and finish your thought anyway. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be grounded and direct. What you'll find is that people quickly learn how far they can go with you. When you set the tone early, they adjust. And the ones who don't, they weren't meant to be in your life anyway. Boundaries are filters. They push away the wrong people and attract the right ones. People who have strong boundaries actually experience more peace, not less. They deal with less drama, less conflict, and far fewer moments of regret because they stood up for themselves early. Before things got out of control, respect starts with clarity. If your standards are vague, people will test them. But if your boundaries are clear, they won't need to guess, and they won't dare cross the line twice. Set your standard high and enforce it with quiet strength. When you do that, you won't need to chase respect. It will naturally flow to you. In a world that constantly rewards noise, it's easy to believe that the louder you are, the more people will take you seriously. But the opposite is often true. The most powerful people in any room are not the ones speaking the most. They are the ones observing, listening, and choosing their words with intention. When you speak less and observe more, you position yourself above the noise. You become the person who sees what others miss, who thinks before reacting, and who holds a quiet kind of power that naturally commands respect. Speaking less isn't about silence for the sake of silence. It's about strategy. When you don't rush to fill the gaps with words, you give yourself time to read the situation. You pick up on energy, body language, tone, and unspoken dynamics. You notice who is genuine and who is performing. You learn where the power truly lies, not by guessing, but by watching. This awareness allows you to move smarter, respond better, and avoid the traps that impulsive talkers often fall into. The person who speaks the least in a conversation often controls it. That's because when you're not trying to prove anything, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability creates presence. When people can't figure you out, they become more careful around you. They choose their words more intentionally. They wonder what you're thinking. That curiosity gives you a psychological edge. It makes you memorable. It makes people respect your silence because it feels earned, not awkward, not passive, but powerful. Too often, people speak just to fill the air. They share too much too soon, hoping to connect, impress, or convince. But in doing so, they give away their mystery. They reveal their weaknesses, their fears, and their limits without realizing it. The more people know about your inner world, the more they can use it against you. That's not paranoia, it's wisdom. Privacy is protection. When you observe more and speak less, you protect your emotional and mental territory. You stay in control of what others know, and you keep your power close. And another benefit of speaking less is that your words carry more weight when you do speak. People listen differently when you're not constantly talking. They lean in. They pay attention. Your words hit deeper because they're rare, thoughtful, and purposeful. Over time, you build a reputation for wisdom, not because you always have something to say, but because when you do, it matters. In every setting, whether it's work, relationships, or social situations, learning to observe more and speak less gives you an upper hand. It keeps you grounded, centered, and aware. You're not easily provoked, not easily manipulated, and not easily disrespected. Because people respect calm strength, they respect those who hold back when others rush in. And they deeply respect the one who watches everything and says only what truly needs to be said. When someone disrespects you, it's natural to feel hurt, angry, or even humiliated. But how you respond in that moment defines how people will see you in the future. One of the most powerful things you can do when facing disrespect is to not react emotionally. Because the moment you allow someone to control your emotions, you give them power over you. And people can sense when they've gotten under your skin. If they see they can provoke you, they will keep doing it. Not always out of malice, but because emotional reactions invite control, not respect. Emotional reactivity is often mistaken for strength. Some believe that if they shout back, argue louder, or explode in anger, they're standing up for themselves. But more often than not, it has the opposite effect. When you react emotionally, you lose clarity. You say things you didn't mean. You show that the other person's words have power over you. And even if you're right, you end up looking unstable or overly sensitive. That's not how you win respect. True power lies in emotional discipline. When you stay calm while others lose control, you rise above the situation. You show that your emotions belong to you, not to the person who is trying to provoke you. People are often taken aback when the disrespect doesn't work, when they insult you and you don't flinch, when they try to humiliate you and you don't take the bait. That moment of calm sends a loud message. I do not dance to your tune. That's intimidating. That's powerful. Emotional control also gives you the ability to respond instead of react. A reaction is impulsive. It's driven by ego, pride, or pain. A response is intentional. It's measured, thoughtful, and strategic. When you pause, breathe, and choose your next move carefully, you're operating from a position of strength, not weakness. And in that calm, you often see more clearly. You recognize when to walk away, when to stand firm, or when to speak, and what exactly to say to leave an impact without raising your voice. Practicing emotional discipline doesn't mean suppressing how you feel. It means learning how to process your emotions internally so they don't explode externally. It means mastering the art of the pause, stepping back mentally when you feel triggered, and asking yourself, what's the outcome I want here? Often, that outcome is not to win a petty argument or prove a point. It's to maintain your self-respect, your dignity, and your peace. When people see that you're not easily rattled, they begin to approach you differently. They measure their words more carefully. They second guess before crossing a line, not because you threatened them, but because you've shown them that nothing they do can shake your inner foundation. That kind of control is rare, and in a world full of reactive energy, the person who stays composed is the one who commands real respect. There is a kind of strength that doesn't come from fighting, shouting, or proving a point. It comes from knowing when to walk away. When someone disrespects you, the most powerful thing you can do isn't always to argue or demand an apology. It's to leave. not in anger, not in drama, but with calm, collected dignity. Walking away shows that your self-worth is not up for debate, that you value your peace more than proving yourself, and that you will not stay where you are not respected. People often stay in situations, relationships, friendships, work environments where they are consistently disrespected. They hope the other person will change. They explain themselves over and over again. They beg for understanding. But every time you stay in a place where you're treated poorly, you send a message that this treatment is acceptable, that your boundaries are flexible, that your presence is guaranteed no matter how someone behaves, and that gives others permission to continue the disrespect. Walking away, on the other hand, is a silent declaration of self-respect. It doesn't require yelling or confrontation. It simply says, I refuse to be part of this. And the beauty of walking away is that it speaks volumes. The absence of your energy, your time, and your presence creates a void that no words ever could. People start to realize what they lost. They begin to question their behavior. And even if they don't, you've already won because you chose yourself. This isn't about being cold or unforgiving. It's about recognizing when a situation no longer honors your worth. Some people don't realize the value of your presence until you're no longer available. But they never will if you keep staying through the disrespect, hoping for things to get better. Your silence, your distance, your decision to walk away, these are powerful tools. They protect your dignity and send a clear message without ever needing to raise your voice. Walking away also gives you space. Space to reflect, to heal, and to surround yourself with better energy. It frees you from being stuck in the cycle of overthinking, explaining, and hoping. And in that space, you begin to remember who you are. You realize that you don't need to beg for kindness, for basic respect, or for consideration. These things should be given freely, not earned by suffering. And here's the truth. When you carry yourself with that kind of self-respect, the world takes notice. The wrong people fall away. The right ones step up. Opportunities flow differently. Conversations change. Why? Because people understand, whether consciously or not, that you are not someone who tolerates nonsense, that if they want to be in your life, they have to come correct. Not because you demand it with words, but because your actions have already set the standard. In every moment of disrespect, you have a choice. Stay and shrink or walk away and rise. Choose the path that protects your peace. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all, just turning your back and never looking back. The way you treat yourself is the foundation of how the world learns to treat you. People take subtle cues from your behavior, how you speak about yourself, how you carry yourself, and what you tolerate. If you neglect your own needs, constantly put yourself last, or downplay your worth, others will follow your lead. But when you upgrade the way you treat yourself, everything begins to shift. You send a message without saying a word. I respect myself, and so should you. It starts with your inner dialogue. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself when no one's around. Do you constantly criticize yourself, call yourself names, or doubt your abilities? That voice becomes your reality. And if you keep telling yourself that you're not good enough, eventually others will believe it too. On the other hand, if you speak to yourself with kindness, confidence, and belief, you start showing up differently. Your energy changes. Your posture improves. Your eyes carry a different light, and people respond to that. Treating yourself better also means prioritizing your time, your energy, and your well-being. Are you constantly overextending yourself for people who don't reciprocate? Are you saying yes to things that drain you because you're afraid of disappointing others. Every time you do that, chip away at your own worth. But when you start saying no to things that don't align with your peace or purpose, you teach others that your time has value. You no longer feel the need to please everyone because you're finally committed to pleasing yourself. This also includes how you take care of your body and your environment. When you carry yourself with care, dressing well, grooming yourself, staying healthy, you send the message that you value your existence. This doesn't mean chasing perfection or materialism. It means honoring your vessel. When you show up looking like you respect yourself, people will treat you with more respect. Your appearance is the first thing the world sees. It should reflect the inner pride you carry. Another important part of self-treatment is emotional boundaries. If you constantly allow others to dump their problems on you, disrespect your space, or project their insecurities onto you, you become a doormat. But when you draw emotional boundaries and protect your mental peace, you create a standard. You no longer allow others to drain or diminish you. And in return, they either rise to meet your level or they fall away. Self-respect radiates. When you truly value yourself, you don't chase, beg, or shrink. You don't tolerate poor treatment because you know you deserve better, and the people around you adjust. Some may resist, some may test you, but eventually they'll understand that your self-worth isn't negotiable. Upgrading how you treat yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. It teaches the world how to treat you. It protects you from mistreatment, and it builds a life where you are no longer waiting for others to respect you. You've already claimed that respect for yourself.